Well, boys and girls, welcome back to Wrestling with Entrepreneurship. First of all, I want to start this episode off with asking a question. Have you ever watched a movie and they did a remake of it and it was not quite as good as the original? That's not what's going to happen here. We completely lost the episode with Nick originally, but we're going to do it again. Take two, cut, action, whatever the fuck words come after that. Hey, Nick, welcome back on.
Thanks, Jeff.
I can't say
Good to be back.
I yelled back really quickly because Rebecca's in the back and she can hear me say back. Originally we were working off of one mic. Now we're back to two. It's like we're professional here. That's what we do. Anyway, Nick.
I didn't bring my dog this time, man. I'm sorry.
Your dog didn't piss on my damn shop this time. It's good times. See, those are like tidbits that the originals are going to, what are they talking about?
People just won't know. They'll never know.
Nick, why don't you tell us a little bit about you personally, and then whichever of the thousands of companies you want to represent today.
Sure. I'll pick four. Yeah, so I'm Nick Holmans, born and raised in Dallas. I've owned a roofing company for the last 13 years, and I think that's why you brought me on. You know me as Nick the Roofer.
Yeah.
I have a remodeling company too, and a handyman business that kind of sprouted from that. And then my wife and I recently put together a little vacation rentals business.
Okay.
So we do Airbnbs and Verbos and stuff like that.
Okay. So, I mean, you've literally spread yourself thin on this, huh?
Yeah. It's like ever since I asked Linnell to be my business coach, she was like, oh, you have an idea? Well, you should just do it.
Yeah. You should hit all these verticals that go along with it. Thanks, Linnell. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
On top of that, let's dig into Nick, right? I know this is gonna sound like we've done this before, like deja vu, right? I don't know how I would get that feeling. But,
I've slept since then. So
I mean, for sure, you've been on 1,000 roofs probably since then too.
Yeah, just today, actually.
Just today.
999. Yeah.
Good God. So why don't we start off, like I said, with something about Nick, man? Like, where'd you come from? You said you were born in Dallas, and we get that, but did it stop there? Obviously, you're still here, right? So where'd your journey take you?
Okay, so born in North Dallas. That's kind of what I consider to be home.
Okay.
635 in the Tollway area. We used to live in a house on Harvest Hill. My parents divorced when I was 5, and so my dad went to Southlake and my mom went to Richardson. So I grew up traveling down 635 a lot.
Right, just directly to both of them.
Yeah.
You didn't grow up with the Southlake kids?
No. In fact, I didn't even attend Southlake Carroll until my very last year of high school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so leading up to that, I went to a school in Dallas. So again, a lot of driving. Then my freshman year, my parents sent me to a boarding school out in Washington, D.C. So that was a huge change for me.
A boarding school?
Yeah, it was like a prep school. It was the same school that Al Gore went to, and a bunch of senators' kids, and Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons, he went there.
Holy crap.
So it was kind of like a who's who type of place. It was a glimpse into a society that I'm not really a part of, but I still keep in touch with some of my friends from that school. It was an awesome experience.
Really? So you had a firsthand of a different schooling that most people don't, generally ever in life, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like the elite over there. It was really just a neat place to be. It was an all-boys school, so that took a little getting used to, but...
Well, how old were you then?
I was a freshman in high school, so 14 years old.
That had to ruin your life with an all-boys school.
Yeah, well, I found out the sister school was right on the same campus, right there at the National Cathedral School. So I may have ended up there a time or two.
I mean, we can't disclose that information.
That's a different podcast.
We plead the fifth on this one. After that, all right, so you went to boarding school. We talked about it. Again, on some sort of episode, they got lost. But you jumped into college after that, right? Soon after?
So my high school experience was kind of divided between 3 different schools. So I couldn't stay there because of the cost. It was super expensive. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity. I just couldn't continue there.
Right.
I was actually there when 9/11 happened. So I could actually see the smoke from the Pentagon. From my dorm room, which a lot of people forget. It was more than just the Twin Towers. The Pentagon got hit too. So that was eerie. right? DC was like in a state of emergency.
Right.
And I was used to going outside and seeing people walking down the street, cars, busy. There was nothing but Humvees on the corner and tanks. And it was just like a lockdown. Couldn't even go outside.
I assume, right, with it being a private school, they probably locked down it even more.
Yeah, I think all of DC was.
Much, right?
They were in a state of emergency. Yeah, it was crazy.
Jeez. You said that was your freshman year, right?
That was my freshman year. So after that, I came back and I went to Jesuit in Dallas, which was an awesome school. I got to meet up with a bunch of my old friends because the school I went to before kind of fed into Jesuit and St. Mark's.
Okay.
For the boys.
Okay.
And so yeah, another boys' school. So I was like, all right, it's not my first rodeo. I know what I'm doing now. It was a good school. I was doing like a work grant program there that was backed by the Catholic Church.
Okay.
Money was still an issue for the family, so I then went to South Lake Carroll my junior and senior year. Did I say senior year earlier? Junior and senior year. And that's where I finished up.
Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about off of, what is that main road? Maybe it's main road off of in South Lake.
In South Lake, yeah, it's off of, South Lake, I don't know. Yeah, it's off of Whitechapel is like they have two high schools. It's weird.
I know the one off of Whitechapel and that main street there.
Yeah, and 1709 South Lake Boulevard. Yeah. And then the other one is just down the street. And it's funny because when I transferred in, not all of my credits transferred from the private to the public school system. They didn't really know where to place me, so I ended up having to go back and take classes, which I had to drive to the other campus during the middle of the day to go take classes. And I was driving back and forth.
How did they even allot you enough time to?
Yeah. Okay. So I was supposed to take the bus. I drove instead.
So you had even more time.
I had a little more time.
Now you have to hit the 7-Eleven that was across the street. You know what you got to do.
Sure.
What about that's a big jump from a private to a. What was the second one, a private too? No.
Second one was a private school too. It was a Catholic school. St. Albans was an Episcopalian school, so they're very similar. I go to church every day. It's backed by the church, but South Lake was different for sure. Now, it was my first experience at a public school. Yeah. But it's one of the best in the country, right? It's a really good school.
I've heard.
And I was in the grade where, Chase Daniels was in my grade. He's a football player that became fairly well known. A lot of the guys that I played with or my friends from school were on the football team, and that was a big deal.
You were on the football team, obviously?
Actually, I wasn't. I was on the wrestling team, and so the football players would join wrestling in the winter, and it was pretty funny.
Yeah, they did it because I was on the wrestling team in high school too, and they did it like, there goes my 189 spot because Jacob is more jacked than I am. I'm fucked.
Well, and that's the thing is I was a pretty good wrestler. I mean, my freshman year I won third in a tri-state competition. Okay. And the only reason I got there was because the guy that was in my weight class, which was 145, he got injured. Like right as the competition started, he got injured. So they threw me in. They were like, "Are you sure you can do this?" I'm like, "Of course, yeah, let's do it." And so I got my varsity letter as a freshman.
Holy crap.
But I was never allowed to put it on a jacket because I was a freshman. And anyway, so I was a pretty decent wrestler. Well, my coach at South Lake put me against all the different weight classes because he was having fun watching me beat up on big football dudes.
Jeez.
Because they didn't understand the manipulation of their weight. They were like, okay, I'm going to get in this ring and I'm going to charge.
Yeah.
And I'm like, great, I'm going to use that against you.
Yeah.
This will be fun. And so finally, there was a guy that was a heavyweight, and he put me against him. And he was like an enemy of mine.
Okay.
So I did not want to get pinned by this dude, And so he had me in a pin, and I wasn't going to turn over. And so he lifted his body weight and slammed it down on me to get me to turn over. Yeah. And my vertebrae separated between my C3 and C4 up high here. And it's always been an injury ever since. I have a bulging disc there that's pinching a nerve. And
did you wrestle after?
I did.
Yeah.
I still wrestled. As I've gotten older, it's kind of caught up with me.
For sure. That's funny. I don't think we ever mentioned that in the last podcast, but 145. I was 189, believe it or not, back
oh yeah.
then. And they would make me spar with the heavyweight too, and I'm like, son of a bitch.
Well, as I learned the hard way, that can be dangerous.
Right.
If you're stubborn like me, anyway.
Yeah.
So,
man, they had I don't know if you ever experienced, because like you said, the football players come in, right? Mm-hmm. But we had like a what do you call it, like a foreign exchange student.
Oh yeah,
he's from Germany.
Okay.
But I guess in Germany or wherever, like all he did was jiu-jitsu. And like you get thrown in wrestling, right? But like you don't get thrown like that.
No.
Like there was some weird stuff. Like
well, jiu-jitsu is all about like dislocating your membranes too. I mean, it's like it's crazy.
I know that dude took me like one day. We were. I'm gonna be honest. Like I wasn't the best at amateur wrestling, but like I was okay on the ground, right? If I can get on the ground, I'll be all right. Turtle up or whatever you want to call it. He was the only guy that went, you know what, I'm tired of this, and just gut wrenched me over his damn head and like let go.
Oh no.
So it was like one of those folding the cordon sounds, you know. It was a unique situation and it scared the living shit out of me. That's funny. I mean, that's good shit that we're bringing into this episode. I don't know why I keep referring to like this episode. It's not. This is the first episode with me and Nick. It's not like we have
first official one. Yeah.
Like we have a lost one in somewhere.
It's out there. You just can't hear me.
Yeah. We'll put it in the what is that? The crap they do for movies and the outtakes.
The outtakes. Yeah.
We'll have it in the outtakes of this one. Okay, so you've gone to all these private schools. You finally get to the public school and you're like, holy shit, girls! But you're on the wrestling team. And like, so what happened next for Nick?
Okay, so, gosh, what happened after that? It's all been a kind of a blur.
That wasn't that long ago. You're not that old.
Yeah, right. Okay, so, yeah, I went into retail sales.
Okay.
I did a couple different things. So, I'm having to retract my memory here. So, during high school, I started teaching piano lessons. Mm-hmm. And that was something that it was like the only way I could keep up with the other kids that had money. So I had to like make my own, you know, because I didn't come from money. So yeah, it's my side hustle. But during high school, I mean, I was on the debate team, the wrestling team, the soccer team, and I was teaching piano lessons. And I had 15 students. And, you know, each one of them got an hour a week. I mean, it was a lot of, my time was just spent running around town.
So each individual one got an hour. Holy crap.
Yeah. And I built that business up and I think did pretty well. I mean, I was the only kid probably making $40 an hour back then, you know?
Wow.
But yeah, and one of my students did exceptionally well. He was like a protege, and he ended up starting like a YouTube channel, but it wasn't about piano. It was after I stopped teaching, he diverted his talent into a game called Guitar Hero. And he became like #1 in the world for a while. He was like insanely good. People would log in from all over the world to watch him play.
Like playing the game itself? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he went by a Guitar Hero phenom. And I mean, he did like a halftime show at a Mavs game one time with like 14,000 people watching.
Holy crap.
Just playing Guitar Hero, you know?
So you had a little bit of piece of that.
I did, you know, I mean, maybe contributed, I don't know.
I mean, you showed them the correct way to do the correct ones and not press like yellow, green, orange, red. But
the technique, the background, you know, the foundation.
That's what I'm saying. Like you were the building blocks for his.
No, he was so talented, man. Wow. And he was a great student. So, and his dad was a really cool guy too. Also an entrepreneur. He was in the granite business. So that kind of sparked my interest in construction back then, because I saw this guy that had this giant mansion on a hill and awesome kids and a great wife, and I was like, yeah, I'd like that someday. Maybe being a contractor isn't so bad. You know? Yeah,
kind of opened your eyes to something there.
Yeah.
But it sounds like you've been like the entrepreneur-ish, even like, I mean, you literally set up a piano lesson school type.
Yeah,
that
was my first business. Yeah. And I'll never forget, so my very first job before that was actually working in a restaurant.
Okay.
Now, I worked at a Thai restaurant in Grapevine. It's called Thai Rice. And the owner figured out a way to make it to where, after all the taxes and everything, I was making $5 an hour.
Oh, right.
And I was the guy cleaning out the drain beneath the sink, getting all the food out of there.
Yeah.
So I worked there one day, and then I quit. I was like, this is horrible. I can't do this. But
I love this opportunity to get me to fuck this. I'm out.
yeah, well, I didn't burn my bridge though. I explained to them that I just couldn't continue.
Yeah.
But because I was going to pursue my own business, I was going to start a business, and I was going to teach piano lessons, and so I asked them if they would be willing to display my flyers in the restaurant, and they did. And that's where the lady came in. She was Thai.
Yeah.
That's Danny's mom, the kid I was telling you about.
Yeah.
So that was my very first student.
Oh, that was okay.
Yeah, and that's where I found
Your
him.
pupil is okay. I got you. I get it. So how did it was it just kind of word of mouth at that point? After that?
I printed out hundreds of these flyers.
Yeah.
And I drove all around town, and I stuck them in people's mailboxes. And then I
Don't
learned...
do that, guys. It's illegal.
Yes, that I did learn this because I got a very angry call from the post office.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and they were like, hey, we're over here in Kirkwood Hollow or whatever neighborhood it was, and we're finding your flyers. Hey, just so you know, that is highly illegal. It's like a federal offense, so you need to stop. And I said, well, how far did you get? You might run into about 350 more, but, I will stop now. And, after that 350 or so, you won't see any more.
But what zip code do you work in? Just so I know and stuff. That's crazy.
So, and it's funny is years later, I did get into door-to-door sales. It was essentially what I was doing, leaving these flyers, and canvassing these neighborhoods.
Right.
And so it kind of came full circle,
What do you so with this go around, there's a lot of tenacity and grit there that you had from the get-go. From piano lessons to you could have just sat back and went, well, I hope somebody calls.
Yeah.
You were like, nah, I'm going to make people call.
I went out and I got it. Yeah.
Man, that's unique. That's something that I know for a fact just because I keep up with your social media, and I know you, right? You still do it.
Yeah.
I
do.
57 years
why.
later.
But I do. I would love to retire someday. No, it's actually, I say that. To me, if you love what you do, then it's not like you're working.
100%.
And that's the problem that I see with our society is that we bust our ass doing stuff we don't want to do every day so that one day we can retire. And then what? You save all this money up and then you do nothing.
Yeah.
That's not my plan. That's not what I have in store.
You have a different script, though.
I think so, yeah. And it's part of this vacation rentals business that my wife and I started. That's the legacy I leave behind. Mm-hmm. But that's also something that no matter, where you are in life, you can manage some rental properties.
Yeah.
And so my kids will definitely benefit from that, especially once everything's paid off. They probably won't have to worry.
Yeah, just kind of maintenance type ordeal. Keep it looking decent and stuff, I guess, for rentals.
Yeah, they could even hire a management company, and then it's just mailbox money at that point.
Yeah. Then it's just money coming in no matter what, right?
Right.
That's kind of unique. I think a lot of people. Well, let me ask you this: is that I've heard for many years, even some contractors I worked with are like, well, you got to get you a rental property, and then you rent it out, and it's just money coming in. I hear it so much that I go, well, it sounds like a good idea, but is it really? Is there more into it than what meets the eye with entrepreneurship? Is there's more into this than what most people think and stuff?
Yeah, you have to run the numbers.
Yeah.
You have to look at the comps. If the numbers make sense, then yeah, it's a great idea. In fact, we pulled equity out of our other homes and bought more.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
More debt. It's fine because it's cash flow that we're investing in.
Yeah.
I learned this whole concept of leaving a legacy of real estate to my kids. I learned that from one of my clients. And I had a customer he was a doctor, Dr. Wheeler, out of Lubbock. And he owns some commercial real estate. He owns an apartment complex. And I've done some roof work for him. I roofed actually that presentation that I gave and where I showed the drone videos of a big apartment building that I removed in 6 days.
Yeah.
That was one of his properties.
Okay.
And that's actually an independent living center. So it's like a 55 and up apartment complex.
My type of style.
Yeah. Almost there, right?
I'm getting there.
But he explained it to me. He said, as a doctor, I can't leave my legacy to my kids unless they want to go become doctors.
Yeah.
Then it works, but none of them wanted to.
I mean, that's you're right, because I mean that's the thing. Yeah. It's not like I can.
I mean, your kids.
I can make you an electrician.
Yeah.
I can't make you a doctor. Like you got to go through schooling and all that.
Well, even electricians have to go through a ton of schooling, right?
Same thing, right?
I mean, to get your master's electrician's license, I mean, I'm sure that was not easy. I'm sure it took years of
for sure. Yeah, I mean,
studying and training and.
Absolutely.
Your kids may not want to go through that. Is the point?
Yeah. I guess there's no passing it down at that point, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So that's why he was like, I'm going to invest in real estate, and then. They can take that over, and they did, and so the three brothers they run that portfolio, and they obviously benefit from it, and it's cool to see it stay in the family like that.
Yeah. So that's kind of what you're hoping with yours.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and our kids are into it. Fortunately, even at 2 and 4, they love coming with us to look at new properties.
You told me that.
They love coming up with the names for the properties, and so.
So I mean, you even told me like last time you said. Like you had the roofing company and the remodeling company, but like this is like the first company that like even your wife was like on board and like it's
big
hers
time,
something, right?
Yeah, because the remodeling and the handyman, Tim Walker's my partner, and I didn't even talk to my wife much about that company when I started it.
Yeah.
It was just something that organically happened. He came and found me, and anyway, so. And then the roofing company has been mine for so long. I mean, my wife does help with it, but she doesn't feel ownership with it because it's been my baby for 13 years now, and we've been together for 7. So this Vacation Rentals was the first company that we started together and grew together. And, she runs the day-to-day operations. She's responding to inquiries. She's... you kind of have to be a dispatcher whenever something goes wrong. You need to be able to send the right people.
Right.
But more than anything, she's the one that does the social media marketing, and she does the decorating, and she's really good at it. I mean,
she's got an eye for it.
She makes these homes look like they came out of a magazine.
Really.
And everybody has something to say about it when they come in. They're like, "Wow, this is like professionally done." Cool. And I'm like, "Yeah," and the professional is my wife.
Is there, like, I just kind of popped in my head, like I've been to like an Airbnb, right? Mm-hmm. The one thing that I remember is they had like a journal on his desk.
Yeah. Kind
of write your experience. Yeah. Like, do y'all have something like that?
We do.
That's awesome.
So the first thing we did when we found the place where we wanted to invest, which was Caddo Lake, was the first one we bought. And we stayed at all the Airbnbs out there. And the very first one we stayed at had one of these journals.
Yeah.
And so I wish I could take credit for the idea, but that's where we got the idea.
Sure.
But it was just cool to read through these handwritten notes about all these people and families that had stayed and what their experiences were. And now we've got our own books of our own that people have contributed to, and we'll read the stories and see what kind of fish they caught or what they saw when they were out in the kayak or whatever.
And I think that's cool for like pinpointing back like to your kids, right? Let's just say for instance some celebrity or some whatever, right? Somebody of importance goes, I'm going to Airbnb here, and they write something. Right. It's just something. It's a journal, right?
You know what? Even if it's like kids their age that are contributing to the journal, I mean, it doesn't have to be a celebrity. It's just for them to see that we're creating memories for all these families,
It's just influential, right? It's something that like kind of, like you said, it shows memories. It just shows like stepping stones, I guess, right? Yeah. Oh, that's cool. They swam and then they met that shark in the lake somehow.
Right.
Just whatever unique stories that can come about it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool, man. We talked last time. Again, I'm sorry, not last time. This is the first time that we're talking about this situation. Like coaching. We talked the only reason I bring it back up again, I mean, the reason I bring it up for this first time ever in this episode is it's something that both of us kind of do. You probably, I think you've done it longer than I have, but
I don't know about that. I mean, Linnell's my coach currently. I probably shouldn't have touched that mic.
Yeah, whatever.
And she's awesome, but I've only been with her for year and a half now, I think.
Yeah, so you got me beat a little bit. Like
Yeah.
I started at the beginning of this year.
Okay.
So like, you know, I'm barely 6 months in or so now.
Yeah.
But I mean, to me, as an entrepreneur, as it's probably the same thing for you, is that like that coaching, that guideline stuff kind of helps you, not guideline, but it puts those guidelines for like almost like a map for you to follow, right?
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, because it's some things that we are wonderful at overlooking in the process of building a company or a brand and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's investing in yourself, and I think it's something that a lot of people overlook. And I know for me personally, like I had a personal trainer when I was going to the gym.
Yeah.
And I just hadn't thought of investing in myself in other areas.
Right.
And there was actually it was a networking group that I was a part of, and there was a gal that came out to present to us that wasn't in the group. She was like an outsider just visiting, and
Right.
and she was with a company called Southwestern Consulting, and she was selling business coaching. Or it was actually management coaching classes.
Okay.
Or sessions. And I totally bought into it because I was blown away by her. You know,
Just off the presentation?
just the presentation, you know, she walked into a room full of 30 people, and once she found out your name, she didn't forget it. And I was like,
right.
whoa, that's impressive. You know, so that made an impression. And also, I think she had knocked by then like 10,000 doors, which kind of hits home for me because, you know, I did start my roofing career as a door knocking salesperson. You know,
before that, the federal offense of
that too. Well, I probably should have been knocking on the doors. Yeah, but so yeah, that was the first time. Now that was a little bit of I don't want to say a letdown, but you know, she was the one that sold me on the coaching.
Right.
But then they paired me with somebody else that was in like Nebraska.
Oh shit. Okay.
And it was all virtual. And I'm very much, I love the in-person, face-to-face, you know. So I didn't thrive in those sessions the way that I could have, I think, if I had like a one-on-one coach.
Like in person, like you were saying. Like, I mean, I think that connection here, right? Like in person stuff, it's a little easier to read the room.
Yeah.
You feel more comfortable, first of all. Like I don't know, man. Like there's something like, if I've ever done I've only done a handful of Zoom calls and stuff like that. I always assume they're doing something else.
Yeah.
Or
I know, right?
worst case scenario,
especially if the camera's not on.
Right. Our worst case scenario is like, oh, you don't have any pants on.
Yeah.
Which bothers me.
Yeah, it's distracting the whole time.
Yeah, I'm like, you're not wearing pants. I know.
Oh man, it's been a crazy couple years because Zoom. I didn't even know what Zoom was.
Neither did I.
And then I was in a networking group where they elected me to be the person to teach everybody about Zoom. And I think it's because I was the youngest one in the group, and they just assumed that I knew everything about it. So I studied up and I gave the presentation. And it's a good tool, but there's like certain levels of communication, right?
Yeah.
And video chat is definitely not at the top. You know, it's down there. And as you go down, you get to like, you know, emails and text messages and DMs and whatever, you know.
Yeah.
But to me, in person, face to face is the best.
Yeah, I think like you were being generous by putting like emails and text messages below Zoom. I dislike it because
you put Zoom down below them, huh?
Yeah, I'm like they're over there by like, you know, dial up and whatever else.
I will
stone
say
tablets.
that I took advantage of it. I thought about it, you know, because I do these networking groups throughout the week. I've kind of whittled it down to a couple groups that I really like now, but at the time I was in all of them, and you know, 5 days a week, I would actually sign on while I was on a job site. And so when it was my turn to speak, I was like, yeah, not only am I going to tell you what I do, but here it is, you know, here's what we do to protect the landscaping. Here's the machine that we use to bring the shingles up to the roof.
Yeah.
And so I think people got a kick out of that. I mean, it's like,
it probably separates you from anyone else, right?
I think so.
Everyone else is like, well, today I sell widgets. You're like, well, I'm on a holy shit, you know. You know,
people commented like, they were like, I feel like you're on a reality TV show right now.
Right. Yeah.
And like, people were distracted whenever it was the other members were talking, and my background was still going with all this like commotion.
Holy
you know?
shit. Do you think, here's a fucked up question. I'm going to knock on wood because I don't know bad juju your way.
Sure.
Do you think some people watch, like how I watch NASCAR? I get it. We take left-hand turns and we go in loops, but what I'm really waiting for is someone take a right-hand turn just for the big fucking... Do you think anybody was watching going, that motherfucker's falling?
I'm sure that's what was so distracting. Because
they were like, I don't even like this network system. He's going to fall. He's going to fucking fall.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, we're talking about... I'm going to swallow the shit out of this mic, I guess. We're talking
Still got the gallon going? Yeah, still doing 75 hard?
Yeah, I'm on day 9.
Nice.
Sucks ass. Maybe Andy Frisella will listen to this podcast. And
there you go, Andy. Look at the way you're affecting the world, man.
Absolutely.
I did that program and it changed my life, man.
You were talking about possibly getting back on it and stuff. Right?
I might have to get back on because I've gained half of my weight back.
Really?
Half the weight I lost, I gained it back.
Like I told you, there's a program for it, right? Like an all-year program.
I heard about that one, but that one involves cold showers, and I'm
It's
good.
Not that bad.
I'm good.
It's not that bad. I'm thinking about buying one of those plunging ice cold ice baths. Yeah, like maybe put it out here in the shop and take advantage of this free ice machine.
Yeah, one of my painters just told me he was going to do that.
Yeah, I think I don't know, man. Would you come on over? We'll do who the hell does it? Kevin Hart does that type of thing.
Does he?
Yeah, he's got like a video podcast where the guys. Well, he does it like as a video thing. Like he sits in the ice bed or ice bath with his guests.
All right.
And they talk like this.
Think we can fit one right here?
I mean, like we might just.
I know we can get one and one right here, right?
Probably have to change scenery a little bit. I mean, you know what? Fuck it, I'll call Clayton. We'll put a drain in the middle of this floor and call it a day.
CR Plumbing can make it happen. I saw one of his signs on the way in.
Over there off of
the road.
Montana area?
The road coming in here. Yeah, I don't know.
Coming in here?
Yeah, it was like right down the street. Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. He's taking over my area and stuff. He's supposed to first communicate with me about that. Oh man. So all right. So since the last time we talked, we had a lot of interesting stuff to talk about that day. No telling where that.
We did. Now we have nothing.
No telling where the hell that ended up at. And we talked about coaching. We talked about I didn't meet you at the normal networking system that I guess originally started with, right? I met you at Level Up.
Yeah.
Which is more of a, I say small, but I mean we're running out of room in that damn place.
Yeah, for me it's now I think the largest group in terms of like members attending. So
I mean we were originally we were in some small smaller
Italian restaurant.
Yeah. And then we went to the barbecue joint.
Yeah.
And it looks like that got too small. And now we're
I forgot about
on
that.
the back patio of this large company and we're already filling up half of it.
Yeah. There's like 32 people in it now?
Yeah, it's quite a bit.
It's growing quick.
I mean, the networking system in there seems to be on par. I guess like people care about each other and stuff.
It's about the people.
100%.
It totally is. I mean, the system's there. And the system might have been, borrowed from other organizations or whatever, but there are just high quality, top producing individuals in that group.
Yeah.
And, you can feel that. You can feel the energy in the room when you walk in.
I'm almost wondering if not the company, but the network system is getting so big to where like an hour is not enough.
Yeah, it could be, but I mean, that's part of it is like, we're all professionals. We're all busy. I think just trying to produce the most efficient, highest quality meeting that you can in that hour time constraint.
Yeah.
I think it's important. I guess we could go an hour and a half, but I like how it starts on time, ends on time. They're big on that.
And I mean, it's a good thing. Like I'm not advocating for a 2-hour session and stuff. It's just that I feel like like you said, there's so many good people in there and so much knowledge that can be passed along that normally it's not capped up in that hour.
Yeah.
And then by the next week, maybe there was something good that could have been, but missed opportunities, I think.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, in these groups, you're given like 30 minutes or an hour or 30 seconds or a minute to speak.
Yeah.
And you go through everybody in the room and you can only capture so much about that person in the span of 30 seconds.
Sure.
You cannot make a deep, anything past the surface connection with them. And that's why we're sitting here today, right? And that's why sometimes after the meetings you stick around, you have a one-to-one with somebody.
Right.
So you have to invest the additional time with people to really connect with them.
Yeah.
To get your money's worth, to get your ROI.
Sure. You gotta hit that. What is it? The consistency, right?
Yeah.
You gotta keep showing up. But I mean, it makes it easier on that 30 seconds now, right? You know, like I know Nick now. I know what he's gonna say.
Yeah.
Oh, he said something. Holy shit! Like, you know, there's that bond of friendship. I mean, really, realistically, that's what it is. I think. You talk about one-on-ones. I think this is a lot easier. What we're doing right now. Than normal one-on-ones.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
This is
tough for me.
Is it?
Well, this is my second official
I don't know what you're
podcast.
talking about. This
first
is the first
episode,
one.
I mean,
the first one I've ever heard you on ever, man. I don't know. Like we had a face-to-face last week. It wasn't awkward, but like I don't know. There's just something about this.
I thought it was great. I don't know what you're talking
atmosphere.
about.
I mean, like me too, man. That was fucking wonderful. Like, no, it wasn't bad, right? It's just that, like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe I just need to bring a fucking mic with me wherever I go. Like, oh, one-on-one, and suction cup that bitch to the table, even if it's not hooked up to anything. I just go, yeah.
This is quality control right
it's
here.
Good to see you.
To make sure everything that comes out of my mouth is worthy of a podcast. Right?
Yeah. Okay, so look, we talked about that too. Now that I'm like, my memory is old and shit, so I got to catch up. You were talking about wanting to do a podcast too.
Oh yeah, that's right. You know, what's funny is, so Silvio, my project manager, I met up with him right before I came here. And he was the one that was talking about it. He was like, dude, just right here in the office, like we'll get some of those cool microphones that clamp on the desk and have all the adjustments. And
I mean, I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I didn't realize how easy it was. No, I'm just kidding.
Hi, Mom.
So yeah, I mean, I think for us being a roofing company, you know, the original idea was for it to just be centered around roofing. But there are so many industries that we touch or that we're involved with that have things going on, like insurance, for instance.
Yeah.
I mean, I deal with insurance claims, so I don't know much about underwriting and, you know, pricing and all that, but I know when it comes time to pay a claim, I know who's been naughty and who's been nice. and the industry is changing.
Yeah.
You know, like the reason why some companies have to pull out of North Texas is because it's expensive to write insurance here because you're paying for roofs all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, we live in the hail capital of the world. I just got a notification for a storm last night that hit DFW. 238,000 homes had hail that was over 1.5 inches, which means they're probably getting new roofs.
Holy crap.
And, you know, average roof these days is like 25 grand. So that's a lot of money in one night that these insurance companies are going to have to shell out. And that was not the first storm for this season, and it probably won't be the last.
I mean, we had one just not too long ago that was just as big and stuff.
On Sunday. Yeah. It was the night before.
Last night one scared the crap out of me. Woke me up this morning.
I didn't get any of it.
I guess.
Either that or I was so exhausted that I slept through it.
Like normally, I don't like storms, I'll be honest. Like they scared the crap out of me. I don't know if I had like a bad experience when I was younger and I just don't remember, but it scared the crap out of me. This one was like loud enough, like I felt the wall. Like at least I felt like the walls were like shaking. I was like, holy crap, what the hell is that?
And you live in Hazlet? Okay.
Yeah. And like I said, it kind of came this way and then kind of went away. It was around for 30 minutes.
But you didn't get any hail though.
We got some, but it wasn't like Flower Mound hail.
Okay.
Like we can hear it hitting. Well, you go outside, you go, all right, there's nothing here. So it wasn't that big.
Yeah. Just little pea-sized stuff.
Yeah, it was just the thunder and the lightning that scared the crap out of me.
Yeah, I don't know. I love storms. So
complete opposites.
but you know, I think it's just cool that like Mother Nature or God or whoever you think of can produce something on that magnitude, you know? And it's like Linnell's reaction. Like, I don't know if you saw in the group me text, she was like, hey, I get that like people's properties are getting destroyed and everything, but coming from California, like this is kind of cool. And
I think I briefly read over that. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so some of these hailstones that people were posting, you know, whenever it happens, I know because I'll get text messages with pictures of hailstones. And
but that comes from that networking. Like they know, oh shit, I got to reach out to Nick.
Right.
Or I need to tell so and so about Nick. Like it's like you've made that connection. You've made yourself. First of all, you made yourself available for that connection, but you've also you pulled on some heartstrings somewhere, or you left an impression at least.
Must
right?
have, yeah.
So I mean, like, I'll be honest with you. When I first went to, no, not when I first went to Level Up. I'm trying to remember when I first.
Is that where we met though? Was Level
Yeah,
Up?
because we were in the Italian.
Yeah, right.
We were like sitting next to each other. You were like, hey, I was all like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing here.
I was just surprised to see an electrician show up to a networking event.
Me too. I hear that a lot.
You guys are so busy.
No one shows up to any of them. I have all the seats throughout North Texas.
Yeah.
In every network ever.
Yeah, it's got to be easy, right? You just
up.
waltz into any group and be like, I'm the electrician that you never see.
They give me the spiel. They're like, hey, if someone has your seat. No one has my seat. I'm good. No worries.
But that's good because you've positioned yourself in your business to where you've been able to divide and delegate. And so all the other tasks that would otherwise be taking up your time right now, you've handed out to other people.
Yeah, I've been able to. I mean, that's something like comes with coaching and all that. Like, wasn't overnight.
Right.
Like, it was that whole let it go of my baby thing. I don't know if I can trust someone to keep an eye on payroll or do X, Y, and Z. It took a while for me to let go. I'm sure it did for the same thing for you.
Right.
I mean, what was the first time? When did you hire your first employee?
Oh gosh.
1970-ish?
Yeah, it was a long time ago. I hired an office assistant, and at the time I was working out of my own house.
Okay.
And so
like a virtual one, or like she showed up?
No, she would show up, and like in one of the bedrooms, like I had a desk set up and everything, and you know, I had my days where I had just worked myself too hard the day before.
Yeah.
And so in the morning when she showed up, I was still in bed. And then that was when I was like, I gotta get an office.
So strolling out in your robe and say, hey, what's good morning? Right? Nobody get any coffee on? What the fuck?
Yeah.
But how difficult was it?
To make it was difficult because it was just a fear thing.
Yeah.
You know, the fear of being responsible for another person who has to feed their family, which means I got to keep the lights on for all of us. And and you know, the like my dad will tell me sometimes because he's an attorney and he currently doesn't have an assistant, but and I'll ask him why, and he's like, well, I can't. Right now, it's not in the cards. I can't afford one. And I'm like, Dad, you can't afford not to. Yeah. Like, think about all the stuff you can accomplish that's worth the $3.50 an hour or whatever he's charging an hour. Yeah. You know, if you do those other tasks that somebody would do for $20 an hour, then you're paying yourself that amount of money. Yeah. So absolutely, you have to make the leap. I think bring people on.
Right. I think that's the main like misconcept of it, right? Is that like it's not. Yeah, you're bringing other people on, right? Yeah, you got more mouths to feed. You got to make sure their kids eat and stuff like that, right? Or at least a good CEO or boss would think those things. But like you said, you're hiring someone that can take where you're at and potentially take this off your plate. So now you can add more to your plate. Yep. You can go to these network meetings and make 10 more phone calls that day that you couldn't before. So.
Right. Or spend more time with the family.
That too. Amen.
I mean, that's my goal.
I'm trying to learn that myself. Like I'm not the best at life balance, food.
Right now, I'm not either, man. My family's in Ecuador right now. My girls went with my wife to Ecuador to go visit her family. Yeah. And so I'm all alone at the house, and so I'm like, great, I get to work until the sun goes down and then some, you know, because I'm not missing anything.
But what if? Would that not be the perfect scenario of like learning how to spend, like, have your own, like, not work time?
Touche.
That way, like,
very good, sir.
Because the whole, like, you can't pour into someone else's cup with an empty cup, or you know what I'm saying?
Like, maybe you can pour right, yourself. Man. What can I do? What can I do to pamper myself?
I mean, like, call your piano guy. Y'all go into Guitar Hero. What can you do to pamper yourself?
I did join a new gym, so I'll give you that. Yeah.
Where'd you go?
It's called Club 4 Fitness, and it's right there in Flower Mound. They actually built it in the old Tom Thumb at Flower Mound Road in 2499, 3040 and 2499.
I didn't know that Tom Thumb closed.
Yeah, and it's massive. It's like 60,000 square feet. It's massive.
That's kind of what the Planet Fitnesses are doing too, right?
Really?
They're taking those little old,
Like shopping.
I'm gonna sound real old. You know, they take the Kmart and they change it into.
What's that?
Like Rebecca's like, what the fuck is Kmart? Let me Google that real quick.
No, yeah, I think it's brilliant. I mean, I love that repurposing old buildings, you know, from an industry that's not doing as well.
Yeah.
There's a guy that I met recently with Wolf Investments, and he takes old, abandoned office buildings, especially the ones that are like downtown that have a good walking score where you can walk to places from the office, and he's converted them into multifamily.
Okay.
And he just bought 2 buildings in downtown Dallas, and it's incredible. These are like historical buildings too, so he gets all kinds of money and grants from the government.
Okay, so he's just like redoing the insides. Like he's keeping the historic value of the outsides and stuff, right? Okay, I've heard.
But if you can imagine, like all the plumbing, all the electrical that has to be done to now make individual units, whereas you know before it was just an office building with hardly any bathrooms, you know?
Yeah, you know what? I had a client. I still have a client. They own. Was it like the old Montgomery Wards building in Fort Worth? The one that got hit by the storm forever ago?
Yeah, all the windows got knocked out.
They changed those into multifamily too.
Oh yeah, cool.
One of those big buildings. He has like the penthouse suite or whatever the hell it is.
Of course, you got to, right? Yeah.
But it's cool because like, I mean, they have the same thing in the, you know.
I think it's a brilliant idea.
It's smart.
And it's really good for his investors too.
Yeah.
Especially when they do the historic buildings, because with those grants alone, they come in, you know, making double, triple their money, and they haven't even broken ground yet, you know.
Okay. And I guess that's, I mean, that makes sense, right? Because the grants are there to make sure you keep that outside integrity, I guess, and stuff like that.
They are. Yeah. It's cool because he showed me one building, I think it was in Ohio or maybe Atlanta, but those are 2 totally different places. But it had like these big cross braces that ran through the building. And so some apartments, you would end up with part of this brace running through your building.
Oh, crap. Okay. For like a structural thing, right?
Yeah, a structural thing, which you can't get rid of, right? Otherwise the thing will fall down. But rather than try to hide it, he's like embracing it.
Okay.
And like it's a focal point of this dude's apartment. Like here's one of the big old structural braces that's 100 years old, and it's right in the middle of my apartment. And that's, you know, I think it's cool.
And then your wife went in there and designed the whole place and made it look amazing. Holy crap! That is kind of cool. I don't think I've seen. I'm trying to think if the Montgomery Wards has that like that. But hey, we can't get rid of that type anything in there. I don't think they do or not.
Right. Well, I mean, if it's structural, you really can't.
That's kind of cool though, man. So, you said he's doing it in Dallas?
He's doing it all over the country, but yeah, the last 2 buildings he bought, I think, are here in Dallas.
That's cool. I'm trying to think now. You said Dallas. I'm thinking. I don't know why JFK came to mind. Obviously, for obvious reasons.
We're famous for it.
But I go, is that building